Hi dears, very good morning to all. How do you do? I know that you all are safe and well at home. How was your UT? I hope you all have done well. So shall we start today's class? Have you heard about Mowgli? Who is he? Yes, he is a little boy who had brought up with a pack of wolves in the jungle or forest. Isn't it? I hope you all have watched the movie Jungle Book. So, do you know animals feel just as much as humans do? Yes, animals have also the same feeling like humans. So, we should show kindness towards animals. So, here we are going through an exciting story, an interesting story about a boy named Manav and his memorable adventure in the sea. What do you mean by adventure? Adventure means an exciting, unusual, and sometimes dangerous experience. So, shall we begin the class?
Adventure in the Andamans. What I am about to tell you happened many years ago. I was just a young boy, and the Andaman Islands were my vacation playground every summer. Manav, please don't go in too deep, my mother shouted from her spot on the beautiful sunny beach. Yes, Ma, I replied. I loved the beach, and the ocean was home to me. When I used a snorkel, I pretended I was entering a secret world filled with mysterious creatures. That morning, I floated on my back for a while, enjoying the warm sunlight, and then I put my head under the water again. The next moment, I felt something touch my shoulder.
The narrator was saying that when he was a boy, he used to spend his all summer vacations in the Andaman Islands. Have you ever visited the place? Andaman Islands are very beautiful. So here I am going to show you some images of Andaman Islands. Let's see. When Manav started swimming, his mother shouted to him and said, "Don't go deep into the sea." So Manav replied, "Okay, ma, okay, I'm not going too deep." Now he was going to share how he used to enjoy his summer vacation in the beach to us. He loved the beach and the ocean was like a home to him. He assumed that he was going to see or going to a secret world filled with mysterious creatures. That means difficult to understand or unknown animals. Okay, he used a snorkel before entering the secret world. What's a snorkel? Look at here.
Snorkel means a special tube that you hold in your mouth to help you breathe if you are swimming with your face underwater.
That morning, Manav floated on his back. Floated on his back? Look at here. Floated on his back and enjoyed the warm sunlight. After a while, he entered into the water. The next moment, he felt something touched his shoulder. Something touched his shoulder. What was that? What was that? Let's read the next part.
A turtle, a tiny turtle, I shouted to myself through my bulky mask. I followed him through shoals of tiny fish and hundreds of other glorious rainbow colored fish. As I allowed myself to glide gracefully next to the tiny turtle, I felt his flipper touch my hand. I stayed close and the two of us swam together. After some time, I decided to put my head above the water to clear my mask, while Tiny the turtle crunched on some green seaweed. I looked back at the beach. My mother will be worried, Tiny. I have to go, but I will be back tomorrow, okay? It's hard to explain, but I think Tiny smiled at me. I didn't tell anyone about my turtle, and that night I dreamt about Tiny showing me the whole ocean. The next morning, I almost dragged my parents to the beach and then quickly wore my rubber flippers and wobbled into the clear.
So what was that? It was a tiny turtle. Manav shouted to himself through his bulky mask. It was a tiny turtle. Manav shouted to himself that it was a tiny turtle. And the tiny turtle was moving on. Manav followed the tiny turtle through shoals of fish. Shoals of fish, a group of fish, and other hundreds of glorious rainbow colored fish. Okay, after a while, both of them, it means Manav and the turtle, the tiny turtle, started moving together. Manav felt that tiny turtle's flippers touched his hand. That means tiny turtle wanted to be his friend. So what are flippers?
Flipper, a flat arm like part used for swimming by sea animals like turtles and whales.
When Tiny started crunching or eating seaweeds. Seaweeds. What do you mean by seaweeds? Seaweed means plants which grow under the seawater. Okay, Tiny started crunching seaweeds. That time, Manu decided to put his head above the water to clean his mask. Okay, when he looked back at the beach, he saw his mother. So he told Tiny that my mother would get worried. So I had to go back. And also he reminded Tiny that he would be back on tomorrow. It was hard to explain. Manav thought that in reply, Tiny smiled at him. Tiny gave a smile. He didn't discuss anything about Tiny to his parents. Why? Because he knew that nobody would believe his story. Okay, that night he dreamt about Tiny showing him the whole ocean. Okay, next morning Manav dragged his parents. What do you mean by dragged? Pulled his parents forcefully to the beach. Okay, then he wore his rubber flippers and wobbled to the clear blue water sea. What do you mean by wobble?
Wobbled, moved in a way that shows poor balance.
Here, Mana was in a hurry to meet Tiny. Okay, so let's go through the next part.
Be careful, Manav, called my mother as usual. Of course, Ma, I replied. I swam out to a safe depth and then waved to my parents. When I reached my usual area near the big black rocks, Tiny was waiting. My heart missed a beat as he smiled at me again and then asked me to follow him. Not with words, of course, but I just knew. And then Tiny took me on a magical journey. We swam through giant coral reefs, glided past slimy eels, and saw thousands of starfish resting on a rock. But Tiny saved the best until last. Basking in the reflection of the summer sun, I discovered a whole family of turtles.
After that, his mother told him to be careful. So Manu replied, Okay, Ma. When he reached the safe depth, he waved his hands to his parents. It was showing he was safe. Then he reached the same area where he met Tiny near the big black rocks. There, Tiny was waiting for him. And the second time, Manav's heart missed a beat. That means he felt excited with happiness when Tiny smiled at him. Manav thought that Tiny asked him to follow. After that, he had a magical journey. Magical journey? What was that? Yes, they swam through giant coral reefs. Coral reefs? What are they?
Coral reefs, a place in the sea where fish, coral, and seaweed can be found.
Then glided past slimy eels.
Slimy, greasy, or sticky to touch. Eels, long fish that look like snakes.
And so thousands of starfish resting on a rock. But the next thing was the best thing that Tiny wanted to show the narrator. What was that? Yes, it was a whole family of turtles basking to the reflection of the summer or reflection of the summer sun. Manav saw a whole family of turtles.
Basking, lying in a place that is warm.
So half of the lesson is finished. Remaining part will be taken in the coming week. You should read the lesson daily. Okay, bye.